I want you guys to watch this video over and over again every day until you get into your head that you are not a constant self-improvement project.
Nigga never been as broke as me. I like that. When I was young, I had 2K a lead.
I think nowadays it's really easy to fall into the trap that we need to constantly be growing, constantly be learning something new, self-improving. And the root of that is that we think there's something inherently wrong with us, that we aren't good enough, that we don't accept ourselves. And it's not a bad thing. We should be growing and we should be evolving and we should be trying to be the best version of ourselves. But you need to look in and think, why do I want to change so much? Do I want to change because I don't accept myself, because I hate myself? Or in a more healthy view, do I want to change because I know that it's good for me and I truly want to try to be the best version of myself? When you get addicted to changing yourself all the time, when you don't get that change, it can be very, very disheartening and very sad. And I know because over the past few years, I've had so much change. I feel like a totally new individual each year, and I got addicted at looking back at who I was in the previous year or the previous months. I enjoyed looking back and criticizing who I once was and looking at who I am now. But you know what's funny? I was never happy. I could never accept myself still. I would always look back on the previous version of me and scold her. Almost. You're too cringy. You didn't work hard enough. Blah, 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 blah. Yet that version of me got me to where I am today. You need to learn to accept yourself in every stage of your life. You got to thank that girl or boy for getting you to where you are today, because you don't need to be fixed. And sometimes these feelings, they stem from our childhood. If you grew up with an Asian family, I'm gonna bet right now that they compared you to other children. That child plays piano better than you, got better grades than you, why are you like this, why can't you be like that kid? It stems so early that there is something fundamentally wrong with us and that we have to change. And it doesn't help that TikTok, YouTube, whatever, there's so many new trends, like that girl trend, self-improvement trends, productivity trends. You don't need to change all the time. Change will honestly naturally happen to some extent if you're focusing on actually becoming a better person, but you don't need to take extreme measures all the time. For example, last year I had a breakup. It was very painful and it absolutely catapulted me into this new version of myself, and I became so addicted to the level of growth I had and the feeling it gave me, because I totally transformed. Not only did my income rise so much, I felt like I evolved as a person, and that amount of growth cannot be expected every single year, because obviously that drastic event shaped me for 2021, and I went into 2022 excited. How am I going to change into a new person this year? And when I didn't get the same level of change I got in 2021, I felt really bad about myself. And then it made me start to realize my happiest years were probably when I just came out of high school, 2018 to 2020. I was ignorant and I just lived my life. And I did experience growth, but I wouldn't say I was obsessively focused on it. And that's why I was happy and I actually accepted myself. But when you try to change yourself so much all the time, what you're actually saying is, I don't like who I am and I don't accept myself. I'm going to talk about this further in another video, but there's so many trends online which aim to inspire you to be a new version of you, but really they're either manipulation tactics or they're just trying to change fundamentally who you are. Like one of them, the whole femme fatale thing, first of all, they all stem back to gaining male validation, which is not the goal here. Secondly, they're trying to teach you to not be yourself in dating situations and try to play a character to get the man. Well, what happens when you get that person? Are you going to keep up this act? Don't you want someone to actually accept you for who you are, to love you for who you are? These trends teach you to not like yourself. I also want to add that sometimes you can feel like you're not growing, but you actually are. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I really encourage you to keep a journal of your thoughts. Sometimes I read my old journals and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that I used to think like this. I can't remember, it was so long ago. And that's when you can really observe your growth. But sometimes growth, it does not come in the obvious forms of starting a new business, huge career growth, success, whatever. It can come in many other ways, like you change your pattern of thinking, which I think is arguably the most important one. Imagine if you went from a limiting mindset to an abundance mindset in 1 year. How would that change your life? It would change your life more than just increasing your salary. Additionally, growth takes time, especially big growth. When I was 18, I had no concept of what it meant to improve myself or change. I remember thinking there was just something wrong with me, and it made me really depressed. And I couldn't pinpoint what it was. I remember I would make mind maps to try to sort out what was in my brain, and I couldn't. And when I thought I had the answer, I would make a plan. And it would be a 1-week plan. And in that 1 week, the goal was by the end to be a radically transformed new version of myself. And then when the end of the 7 days would come and I would be exactly the same, I would beat myself up because I had no concept of change. Is change going to occur in 1 week? No. It occurs over years and years and years for the rest of your life. You need to think of the full spectrum of your life, not just 1 year, 2 year, a few months. You need to think of all the decades you're going to live, all the things you're going to go through. You're going to be a parent, you're going to be a grandparent. If you're lucky, you'll be a great grandparent. You'll go through divorces, maybe. Start a new job, start a business. So many things which are going to change you. Like, it doesn't have to happen now. It doesn't have to happen now because it's inevitably going to happen at some stage in your life. Also, I want to apologize if I'm not speaking entirely eloquently. I just had lockjaw and my jaw is still kind of locked here. So I'm struggling to speak. My voice is quivering because I haven't spoken all week. So I'm not like on my flow, you know? I'm not on my fucking flow like usual. I also want to say that I consider myself like a newborn baby, like a toddler. Because I don't consider myself to have really started my life until I was 18. Perhaps it was different for you, but I know until I was 18, I was just in school. I entered the real world at 18 when I moved away from home across the country. That's when I started to really grow. I'm 22 years old now. So I've been out here for like what, 4 or 5 years? I'm 4 or 5 years old, you guys. I'm a toddler. I'm a toddler. And you might be a toddler too. I've only been out here 4 or 5 years. You know what that means? Can you expect a toddler to rapidly learn so much in these 5 years, to radically become the person of their dreams? No. Maybe that's like a really stupid analogy, but I like to think of that way when I'm being hard on myself, when I'm like, damn, I'm only 22 and I'm not like a fucking billionaire. I'm only 5. I got a long life ahead of me. And when you start to see yourself from the perspective of a toddler, it makes you realize how young you are, first of all, but also how much more you have to learn and how much time you have. Because people make it seem like your 20s are the make or break years. Oh my god, 20s are the best stages of your life. By the time you're 30 and you're a woman, you're done. I feel that pressure, girl. But we gotta break out of that. Take your time, enjoy your life, learn things here and there, but don't do it for the sake of wanting to be an entirely new version of you. Now, if you're actually a terrible human being, which I don't think you are, because then you wouldn't be watching this type of video, but let's just say you're a terrible human being, you have really bad habits, like you are spiraling, your life is not going anywhere, then maybe you need to change yourself completely. But I don't think you're in that situation. So chances are you're a really good person, okay? You have great qualities. You might need a little bit of tweaking here and there to get you to the person you want to be, but know that it doesn't have to happen right now. You don't have to beat yourself up if you're not experiencing the level of growth you want to do. Every day, just make little steps towards that person. Who is your dream person? Is she fit? Okay, don't wake up and cry because you're not like a Victoria's Secret model tomorrow. But every day, work out a little bit, maybe go for a walk. You want to be more intelligent, you want to learn a language, what do? You read more, you study, you take these little steps. It's not going to be overnight. The problem with social media is that we see things happen so quickly. We forget that it takes years and years and years, sometimes decades, for someone to level up in the career field and to build their dream life. It's not like an overnight thing, but the internet makes it seem like that. Whatever you want, You will get it. It will come in due time if you make the small steps. Don't beat yourself up. Have self-love, have compassion. Make the little steps every day and you'll get there. And also, next time you watch a video on the internet where someone is detailing the extreme growth they had or the extreme things they've achieved, take a step back and ask yourself, is this normal? Is this happening to every single person? No. We might see like a couple of videos on our For You page of people who have achieved the same things, and that distorts your perception even more, because now you're like, oh, everyone is achieving these things and I'm just a fucking bum. No, the TikTok algorithm is just putting it onto your page because you're watching that type of content. I hope this video helped you. Go to my main channel because we're having an interactive manifestation challenge and I will be putting out a journal soon. Anyway, ich liebe dich. Tschüss.